People still talk about Rembo, the girl whose beauty could silence an entire marketplace. She walked through the village like she was carved from moonlight itself, admired by everyone and humbled by no one. But beauty, as the elders say, becomes dangerous when it grows faster than a person's character, and Rembo's pride had already stretched far beyond what her heart could carry. Her beauty was a problem long before her pride became one. Every boy wanted her attention, every girl wished they had her face, and Rembo knew it. She didn't just know it, she worshipped it. She moved through the village with a small mirror tucked in her wrapper, checking her reflection every few steps as if the world needed constant confirmation that she was still the prettiest. She refused to sit in any hut unless she could see herself in a polished calabash. If a pot of water reflected her face poorly, she said the pot was jealous. She avoided smoky kitchens because, according to her, smoke doesn't deserve to touch my face. Almost every evening, people found her at the riverbank, posing like she was being painted by invisible artists. She would blow kisses at her own reflection and whisper, "Oh God, you created," rubbing her cheeks and turning her head from side to side to admire her profile. Rembo acted like the village was lucky she chose to live in it. She refused to walk in the sun without adjusting her hair first. She made children wait if they greeted her while she was fixing her wrapper. She once stopped an entire path to say, "Move aside, my beauty needs space to walk." Her skin glowed. Her smile could make a grown man forget his wife's name. Her walk alone made the market fall silent. But Rembo had one problem: her heart was not as beautiful as her face. She mocked girls with scars. She rolled her eyes at women who wore simple clothes. She treated boys like they were dust on her sandals. Rembo believed the moon followed her everywhere. She believed the night belonged to her beauty. But beauty is a very dangerous thing when the heart is proud. Every villager knew one sacred rule: never look at your reflection in water during a full moon. That was the moon goddess's mirror. But Rembo loved breaking rules. In fact, she had mocked that rule so many times that elders stopped warning her. She would stand in open spaces at night, point at the sky, and laugh. "Look at her. The moon is so ugly she only comes out when it's dark. If I had that face, I would hide too." Sometimes she would blow kisses at the moon and say loudly, "Don't follow me, I'm already taken." Other nights, she would dare it. "If you think you're beautiful, come down here and face me." She treated the moon like a jealous rival, as if the moon itself was competing with her reflection. But one night, she went too far. As the moon shone bright like a silver drum, Rembo sneaked to the river with her mirror tucked under her arm. She bent over the water, admired her reflection, tilted her head proudly and whispered, "Even you, moon, you are not as beautiful as me." That was the moment everything changed. The river trembled. The wind stopped breathing. And from the reflection, eyes opened. A tall woman rose from the river, her skin glowing like wet silver, her hair floating around her like strands of moonlight, and her eyes shining brighter than any night Rembo had ever seen. In that moment, Rembo realized something she had never admitted to anyone: the moon was breathtaking. Not the pale circle in the sky, but this divine woman standing before her. She was beautiful in a way Rembo had never imagined. A beauty that didn't need mirrors, a beauty that didn't beg for attention, a beauty that simply existed and commanded the world. Nothing Rembo had ever seen compared to this goddess. And for the first time in her life, something fierce, almost painful, burned in her chest. Jealousy. Pure, sharp jealousy. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. The moon goddess looked at her with calm, ancient eyes. Eyes that saw everything. Her voice was soft, but carried the weight of the whole night sky. "Rembo," she said, "your beauty has blinded you. You think the moon envies you? Tonight, you will learn." Rembo shook. Her knees gave way. Her pride melted faster than she could breathe. The moon goddess lifted her hand, silver light dripping from her fingers. "Choose your punishment," she said. "You have 3 options." The moon goddess raised her hand, and the river light tightened around her fingers. "First," she said, her voice steady, "is the curse of emotional farting." Rembo's stomach tightened, but the goddess continued. "Your emotions will leave your body louder than your words. When anger rises in you, it will burst out as a loud, explosive blast. When you lie, your body will betray you with one long, ringing trumpet. Jealousy will escape you silently, but dangerously. And when fear or anxiety grips your heart, your stomach will fire like a drum in war. You will never hide your heart again." She stepped closer, her silver glow brushing Rembo's skin. "The second," she continued, "is the moon mirror curse." The water at their feet shifted, forming vague outlines of faces distorted into shame and cruelty. "Every unkind thought, every moment of pride or spite, will reshape your beauty. Your face will twist to reflect the darkness you carry inside. The world will see your heart before they see your skin." Rembo swallowed, but the goddess was not finished. "And the third," the moon goddess said, her eyes deepening like night itself, "is the shadow of truth." Behind Rembo, her shadow flickered as if it wanted to speak. "Your shadow will reveal your real thoughts. Even when your lips are polite, even when your smile pretends kindness, your shadow will speak the truth you try to bury." Then the goddess lowered her hand. "Choose, Rembo. One curse, or the night itself will choose for you." But Rembo laughed, proudly, foolishly, the way only someone blinded by their own beauty could laugh. "Farting. Really," she said, tossing her hair back. "That's the easiest punishment of all. I will simply hold it." The moon goddess looked at her the way mothers look at children who believe they've outsmarted the world. A slow, knowing smile touched her lips. "Very well," she said softly. "Then let the wind teach you humility." Before Rembo could respond, the goddess placed a cool, glowing hand on her stomach. A sharp coldness spread through Rembo's body, rushing up her spine, curling around her ribs, sitting heavy and unfamiliar in her belly. She gasped. The river dimmed. The night held its breath. The curse had begun. At her cousin's wedding, Rembo fully expected to steal the spotlight. She had arrived early, posed beside every decoration, and even walked past the bride twice so people could accidentally compare them. But when the elders began praising the bride instead of her, anger boiled inside Rembo like hot porridge left too long on the fire. She tried to smile, tried to breathe, but her stomach had other plans. Boom! 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 The loudest, most violent blasts tore out of her body, so forceful the ground vibrated under people's feet. The bride screamed. The groom covered his face. An old man shouted. Thunder has entered her stomach. Children scattered like someone had thrown maize on the ground. Goats ran blindly into chairs. Chickens took flight like angels fleeing sin. The drummers dropped their sticks. One auntie fainted without even confirming why. The wedding nearly ended on the spot. And Rembo. Rembo stood frozen, eyes wide, holding her wrapper with both hands as if the cloth could catch the sound and push it back inside. She tried to pretend nothing had happened. She even whispered. Who was that? Not me. My body is too beautiful for such sounds. But the smell had started drifting. People looked at her. And she looked back at them with the innocent face of someone who knows the fire is coming. Within moments, the crowd surged toward her, waving wrappers like flags of war. She was chased away like a stray dog running down the path with her hands still on her stomach, shouting. It wasn't me. It was the drums. The drums betrayed me. But everyone knew the truth. A new girl arrived at the market selling the most beautiful handwoven baskets anyone had seen. People gathered around her stall, admiring the colors, the patterns, the neatness. Mothers nodded proudly. Young men whispered. Even elders leaned in for a closer look. And Rembo. She stood at her usual spot, arms folded, pretending she wasn't listening, even though jealousy was already warming her stomach like boiling beans. She forced a smile. A tight, dangerous smile. The kind that tells you a storm is coming. Then it happened. The silent killer. Nobody heard it. But everybody smelled it. Women fainted so dramatically you'd think they were auditioning for a play. Tomatoes shriveled in their baskets like they had aged 100 years. A baby, who had been laughing, suddenly burst into uncontrollable tears. A goat ran headfirst into a wall and didn't even apologize. And birds flying overhead changed direction midair, flapping away like something unholy had risen from the ground. People screamed. This is not a smell from Earth. Run. And run they did. Stalls toppled. Bananas fell. Fish sellers abandoned their fish. One woman left her shoes behind and kept running barefoot. But as the smell thickened, strong enough to bend small plants, people realized something horrifying. The smell had a source. They followed the scent like soldiers following smoke, and it led them straight to Rembo. She stood there pretending to cough, waving her hand dramatically as if she too was a victim. Who killed a spirit here? She shouted. This smell is attacking me personally. But nobody believed her. Even the new girl selling baskets packed her things and crossed herself. The chief arrived, holding his nose with both hands, eyes watering. Without any discussion he said, Rembo, go home. For a whole month. This market is not big enough for you and whatever that is. And with that, she was banned, officially, publicly, shamefully, from the market for 30 full days. Rembo walked home with her head high, pretending nothing had happened, but she kept glancing behind to make sure the smell wasn't following her. The funeral was a quiet one. People sat in respectful silence, the kind that makes even children behave. The widow sat near the coffin, wiping her tears with the end of her wrapper. Then someone stood up and asked the question that changed everything. Rembo, did you gossip about the widow last market day? Rembo placed a hand on her chest, tilted her head sweetly, and put on her most innocent face. Me? I would never. The lie had barely left her mouth when her stomach clenched like a drum being tightened. And then... Trrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr but it rolled across the homestead like a traveling spirit. Even the coffin vibrated. The corpse shifted slightly, as if the dead man himself wanted to ask what was going on. People gasped. A dog barked once, then went silent. The widow, overwhelmed by the shame, burst into louder tears, not for her husband this time, but for the insult to his final journey. One elder stood up holding his walking stick like a weapon. "Rembo, get out. This is a funeral, not a music festival." Another woman shouted. "Leave. You brought disrespect." People began waving their wrappers toward her as if chasing away a stubborn chicken. Rembo tried to defend herself, covering her mouth and shaking her head. It wasn't a fart. It was the wind passing. But nobody believed her. Even the wind refused to claim it. They chased her away from the homestead like a stray goat that had eaten someone's vegetables. She ran down the path with her wrapper pressed tightly against her stomach, muttering, "Oh, these people exaggerate too much." But deep down, even she knew, the ancestors had that one. One afternoon, a handsome young man arrived from a neighboring village. Tall, well-spoken, smelling faintly of soap, the type who made mothers start planning weddings before anyone asked them. He came holding a small gift for Rembo. A carved wooden comb. A serious man. A respectful one. A husband-material kind of man. Rembo's mother almost fainted from excitement. Rembo stood up gracefully to greet him, tilting her head just enough for her earrings to catch the light. But the moment she saw how handsome he was and how seriously he looked at her, panic crawled into her stomach like a startled rat. Her hands trembled. Her heart raced. And her stomach? Her stomach betrayed her. Before she could hold her breath. Machine gun farts erupted out of her like a full military parade marching through her intestines. It was violent. It was relentless. It was loud enough to frighten a chicken 3 compounds away. The young man jumped so high his walking stick fell. He turned to run, and in his panic, he didn't even stop to wear his sandals. He ran home barefoot, holding his gift in the air like a weapon, shouting, "She is possessed. That girl is fighting demons." Rembo stood there frozen, wrapper pressed to her belly, whispering to herself, Why today of all days?" Her mother didn't even comfort her. She just picked up the abandoned sandals, shook her head, and said, "Rembo, even witches have better self-control." Word spread faster than wildfire. By evening, every eligible man had heard the story. From that day on, no man came for Rembo again. Not even the ones she wouldn't have chosen. Soon, people stopped sitting near her, women waved their wrappers aggressively when she passed, as if shooing away bad luck. Children covered their noses and whispered behind her back, calling her "Mother of Explosions," the girl who exploded without warning. Others called her Fat Queen, Miss Thunder, Mama Radiator, and many more. Even animals began avoiding her shadow, goats detoured around her, dogs crossed the road, and chickens refused to peck anywhere near her feet. Her beauty meant nothing anymore. All the admiration she once bathed in had evaporated. Her pride, once taller than the granary, crumbled like soft earth after rain. One quiet night, Rembo returned to the river where everything had begun. The same moon that once fueled her arrogance now felt like a witness to her shame. She fell to her knees, shoulders shaking. "Moon Mother," she whispered, "I am sorry. Beauty without kindness is nothing. Please, have mercy." For the first time since the curse began, her tears fell without sound. No jealousy hiss. No angry explosion. No anxious machine gun stutter. Nothing. Her heart, finally, was quiet. The moon goddess appeared again, rising from the silver light as softly as mist. Her glow wrapped around Rembo like a warm shawl, calming the trembling in her chest. "Now you understand," the goddess said, her voice gentle but firm. "True beauty starts inside, not on the skin you admire, but in the heart you neglected." She reached out and touched Rembo's stomach with the same cool grace as before. A warm ripple spread through Rembo's body, untying the knots of shame inside her. The curse lifted. The night breathed again. The river softened. Even the wind relaxed. But the moon goddess was not finished. "I will leave you with a reminder," she said. "A small one." And so she did. From that night on, whenever Rembo tried to lie, even the tiniest lie, a soft, ridiculous peep escaped her body. Nothing loud, nothing dramatic, just enough to warn her and embarrass her gently back into honesty. A quiet lesson. A permanent reminder. After that night, Rembo changed. She became humble. She helped the same girls she once mocked. She treated elders with respect instead of rolling her eyes. She became someone people could trust, someone whose apologies had weight. Slowly, very slowly, the village forgave her. Children no longer ran away. Women stopped waving their wrappers. Even goats walked past her without suspicion. They say the moon shines warmer on her now, not because of the beauty she once worshipped, but because humility finally found her heart, then stayed. From that day, villagers warned their daughters, beauty can open doors, yes, but only character keeps them open. And pride? Pride always finds a way to embarrass you in the end. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with someone who loves African stories. Thank you for being here. See you in the next one.